Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Chip Johnson from Family and Community Engagement in Education, and I am here with another segment of the dorm room. And this is a place where we just all get together and talk about some things that are going on in Chicago Public Schools that I'm sure that you would want to know about. And this is going to be a great session today as we are talking about our CPS High School Strategy. You know, there's a lot going on with Chicago Public Schools, and I'm sure you all have seen all of the news and things like that. We're trying to talk about getting our students back into schools and getting them in the classrooms. Of course, our cluster programs and our pre-K have been going in. The teachers have been showing up to work as of yesterday, and we're still working on more coming this week. We're looking at our K through 8 coming back to the classrooms on K through 1. And then we're also planning on our high school students to come back to the classroom. That information has not been yet released, but I know you're anticipating it. We are working on it, and it is going to happen because we know definitely our children need to be in school. Well, we are talking about our newly developed, I don't want to say new program, because we've always had a high school strategy, but we have kind of revised it. And the chief of this operation here in our Office of Network Support, dear colleague of mine, we used to work together when I was a deputy chief and when I was a network chief. And Dr. Erick Pruitt has been doing some great work in revising the newly formed high school strategy. You know, our freshmen on track and our graduation rates have all been at an all-time high. And between 2013 and 2017, our graduation rates rose 4 times faster than the national average. We are the third largest district in Chicago, so that should be happening. And that's been according to the National Center for Education statistics. More CPS high school students are earning college credit, and more are earning industry certification through their career and technical education courses than ever before. College enrollment among CPS graduates is also higher than ever. And so we celebrate the hard work that Chicago Public Schools are doing or is doing with our high school students. It's not an easy task, but here to introduce or I should say, kind of bring you on board with what we're doing with our high school strategy, Dr. Erick Pruitt is joining me today. And I'm just really happy that you're here, Erick.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy to hear what you're doing in the Office of Network Support. You've been the deputy now there for how long?
A year and a half.
So a year, yeah. So you've been working under Chief Bogdana Shumbrova, and you all are continuing to do a whole lot structuring around bringing more resources and providing more equity to the Office of Network Support, which really manages our networks and our high school and elementary school. So you recently worked on the high school strategy. And as of before, I know you were a deputy chief and then became a network chief. So you've been familiar with the high school strategy, but you felt that there was a need to do a little bit more with it. You want to just kind of introduce it a little bit to the audience?
Absolutely. And so again, Happy New Year, Chief Johnson. Really happy to be in the dorm room with you, along with the principals that we'll be talking with later on this evening. And so I'm gonna go quickly through the high school strategy and share how we have envisioned enhancing the work that has been going on in Chicago Public Schools for a very long time. And so again, thank you for inviting me. But before we dive in, I want to thank all of the students, teachers, principals, assistant principals, and central office staff who contributed to the development of this plan. The creation of the CPS High School Strategy was indeed a collaboration at its best. And so this new strategy is actually not a departure from our previous approaches in supporting high school students. It's simply an extension of those efforts that are tied directly to our 5-year vision. It builds on successful initiatives like Freshmen on Track, as you mentioned, which has contributed to our district's historic rise in graduation rate. It also affirms our push toward helping students earn early college and career credentials, thereby increasing the likelihood that they will continue their education when they leave CPS. So at its core, our high school strategy is a multifaceted, data-driven, and research-based approach to better serving our students in grades 9 through 12. We understand that opportunities still exist to improve outcomes for all students in every high school, and we are committed to improving our students' high school experience by focusing on how central office equips our school leaders and teachers. The high school strategy outlines collective expectations for both central office and CPS schools. It stresses the importance of providing high quality instruction and equitable opportunities for all students, and relies heavily on a commitment to continuous improvement. This is how our schools become units of change that are capable of achieving the CPS 5-year vision. Our high school students deserve equity, excellence, and advocacy as part of their experience. They deserve access to a relevant, high-quality curriculum that will prepare them for success in college and career, and a learning environment that takes into account their social and emotional needs. The CPS High School Strategy addresses all of these needs, identifying new initiatives for elevating both student achievement and student voice. It also provides students more equitable opportunities for advanced coursework, enrichment programs, and college and career exploration. Our strategy is grounded in what we call the CPS graduate profile. This is the collection of knowledge, mindsets, and values that our students will need to achieve their dreams and to become empowered, civic-minded citizens. It's what we hope every student embodies when they cross the stage of graduation. We must push our high school students to become ethical and collaborative leaders. We must also empower them to be inquisitive learners who are confident in their decision-making and who are eager to engage with their communities. And if the pandemic has taught us anything, it is that we must prepare our students to be adaptable in times of crisis. There are 4 key levers that make up the CPS High School Strategy. The first is strengthening the instructional core, which means investing in universal high quality curriculum, especially where math and reading are concerned, and providing both students and teachers the supports they need to grow in their abilities. The second lever will require our district to be the driver of continuous improvement for all CPS high schools. This will mean providing school leaders and teams with the training and academic data that they need to be effective, positive change makers. The strategy's third lever will involve shaping effective partnerships, communication strategies, and resource management across central office in all CPS high schools. And the final lever is all about college and career readiness and the need to build solid post-secondary pathways that are aligned to the needs of every graduate. And so our first objective must be to ensure a common vision for high quality instruction across all CPS high schools. Like all things CPS, the high school strategy is rooted in our commitment to educating with equity. This is especially true when it comes to creating curriculum centered on identity, relationships, and community. To be their most successful, our students need to see themselves reflected in what they are learning and must feel that there is a respect and bond between their school and community. So here you can see some of the strategies we have for strengthening the instructional core. They include everything from the need to be culturally relevant, standards-based, to having culturally relevant standards-based curriculum, to the social and emotional supports that are so important for students during the high school years. Academic interventions will also be in place, both for those children who are struggling and for those who will need to be challenged, particularly in the area of advanced mathematics. Moving on to the second lever of the high school strategy, we know that strong principal leadership will be a huge factor in the success of this plan. Our job as a district is to be to provide high school leaders with the guidance on how to organize effective teams and team leaders, and on how to drive continuous improvement at the school level. Another key aspect of the high school strategy is expanding access to selective enrollment high schools for our district's diverse learners. More than 14% of our students across Chicago have an IEP, but in our selective enrollment schools, the number is just 6%. So beginning this year, at least 14% of the selective enrollment offers provided to ninth graders will go to students with diverse learning needs. Efficient operational standards will be key to supporting all levers of our high school strategy. Student outcomes often hinge on how well a school is managed, whether or not children feel safe, supported, and valued, and if each school is providing the programs and opportunities that match their interests and abilities. Establishing strong partnerships between high schools and the larger community will be key to the success of our high school strategy. And last but not least, pathways in the high school strategy and the Chicago roadmap are aligned to labor market opportunities and the post-secondary credentials necessary to have access to these opportunities. Our work will continue to close opportunity gaps and better prepare students for the future. Along with our partners at the City Colleges of Chicago, CPS is working to ensure that our high school students are better prepared for college and that they have everything they need to be successful when they enroll in our city colleges. Nearly half of our graduates from last year left CPS having earned at least one college or career credential. We want to grow that number as part of the high school strategy, especially among our Black and Latinx students and students enrolled in our neighborhood schools. We hope to, one area of particular interest is our AP capstone program, where students work to complete an original college level research paper and oral defense. We hope to expand this program from 12 high school campuses last year to 30 campuses by 2024. We also continue growing our equal opportunity schools, which serve student populations that are largely underrepresented in programs like AP and IB. So to end, successful implementation of the high school strategy will require a fierce collaboration from all corners of the district. We're currently in the process of implementing a diverse team of school and district leaders who will bring a variety of perspectives to this work and who will help us successfully implement this comprehensive plan to better support CPS high school students. At this time, I'd like to bring in our wonderful principals to help us talk through the high school strategy and what that means to the work that they engaged in.
Now, let me ask before we get to that, Dr. Pruitt, just exactly. I know you revised a lot of things from the prior or former high school strategy. What did you see in this development that you needed to add that was a little bit more essential to what we're trying to do for our students in high school?
So what we're really proud of, Chief Johnson, is that we recognize that we want all of our students in 9th through 12th grade to be successful. We also recognize through this high school strategy that the work doesn't begin in 9th grade. And so there are strategies within this plan that allows us to reach down to our middle grades and really think through how we can support them through advanced mathematics to set them up for more success when they get to high school. But we also wanted to enhance some of the work around equity advocacy that was established a few years ago with the previous high school strategy, and expand on those opportunities with regards to post-secondary work in our middle grades and in high school, and looking at some of our college and career programs and curriculum that we're looking to develop to move our kids forward.
Okay. So we do have a plethora of some of our greatest leaders. I think that all of our principals in Chicago Public Schools are great leaders, and they're representing all of them today. And so what I want to do is just to bring them on individually, let them introduce themselves. The names are on the picture, but let them introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their high school programs in their school. So let's start with Principal Altaramino. Altaramino is here from the Hubbard High School. You pretty much have about 93% Hispanic students there. Tell us about your program at Hubbard.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I just want to say I'm honored to be here sharing the stage with you all. Thank you so much. Yes, Hubbard High School is home for me. Those that know me, I've been at Hubbard for 20 years, from teacher to AP and IB coordinator, assistant principal, and now I am fortunate to be the principal of Hubbard. So you're absolutely correct. It is 93% of our students are Latinx and 6% of our students are African American. So we do have, considering that Hubbard High School is a true neighborhood high school, and when I say that, I'm very proud to say that Hubbard High School educates every single student that walks in through that door, no matter what level you're at. And I'm proud of that because we offer AP, IB, CTE, dual credit, dual enrollment for our students. But I love the fact that this new high school strategy is emphasizing on equity, because unfortunately, a lot of times what we have seen is that at our neighborhood high schools, those classes have always been for an elite group of students. And that is not going to happen anymore. And I'm proud of that work, that CPS is stepping up and saying this is for everyone. And as a school and as a leader, I am taking that to heart. And I am understanding that those doors cannot be closed for our underrepresented groups. All of our students should have access to that quality education at Hubbard High School and at every single school throughout the city of Chicago. So I'm really excited to see what is going to come with this resource. And I am willing to put in the work because it's about the success for all of our students.
So I'm showing some comments from our viewing audience, just so that you know, we got a lot of your colleagues here and a lot of people from around the nation that are also joining in. Let's go to the north side. And of course, you reign from the kind of like the southwest side.
Southwest side.
Yeah, southwest side of Chicago. Peter Auffant from the Mather High School from the north side of Chicago. Way up there. I used to be the deputy chief up there. Enjoyed it. Tell us about your program at Mather.
The pleasure, and it's an honor to be here with you. My name is Peter Auffant. I'm the very proud principal at Mather High School. We are on the north side of Chicago in the West Ridge neighborhood. We too are also a very proud neighborhood high school, welcoming students from not just our own neighborhood here, but from many neighborhoods across Chicago. We are the most diverse high school in all of Chicago. Over 60 different languages are spoken in our school. Over 140 different nations are represented here. I always tell the students that while our diversity makes us unique, it's our genuine appreciation for our differences that really make us a strong school here. I too am excited about the new strategy as it's rolling out. One thing, and just, you know, I really believe that neighborhood high schools have had to more or less reinvent themselves over the last probably like 5 to 6 years in terms of really examining the programming and ensuring that we were creating an experience for the students who would choose to come to our schools, not just attend our schools because we're the neighborhood option. I'm really excited to be joined by a number of high school principals, neighborhood high school principals in advancing the work in our schools. And particular to this new strategy is it really isn't just an extension of what was happening at the elementary schools that now is allowing the high schools to continue that success. It really is an intentional plan that even dips into trying to impact what's happening in the elementary schools in terms of providing algebra and geometry access to students in the elementary schools so they can reach higher levels of mathematics when they get to the high school level. The focus on getting the high school students post-secondary experience before leaving, whether that's through AP classes, dual enrollment, dual credit, but also through our CTE programs. Our students are earning industry certifications. Mather offers 4 different CTE options for our students, and the inclusion of these programs and the mention of these programs in the strategy, I think, is really important for all of our schools across the city, because I think it shows the commitment the district has, no matter whether you're a selective enrollment high school, a neighborhood high school, a specialty school. You can see your place in the strategy and how we'll be here to support all of our students.
And Peter, you have a very diverse enrollment there. You want to talk about how diverse it is? Because I mean, you have to accommodate languages there.
Absolutely. So I mentioned that our families speak over 60 different languages.
Yeah.
Our ESL population, we serve 1,600 students. 400 of those students are in the ESL or bilingual programs. So, you know, as the district rolls out different strategies, more and more we're seeing an acknowledgement of the diverse backgrounds that our students bring, not only in their ethnicity, but in the different languages they bring. And then also beginning to address the challenges that creates for our families in terms of communicating with the district and communicating with the schools, and really trying to be more inclusive and inviting them in, support through departments like family and community engagement have really been helpful in doing that. Oh, thank you.
Well, you're doing some great work up there, always have, and I'm really proud of the Mather. What do you have? The Mather. What's your?
We're the Rangers. We're the Rangers.
Mather Rangers. You see some people are chiming in that are on the stream. Coming to the south side of Chicago, here is Dr. Trista Harper. Trista, Simeon, what can we say about Simeon? Simeon has been in the news. It's been everywhere. Sports, academics, careers, and things like that. Tell us about Simeon, Trista.
Hi, everyone. How you doing, Mr. Johnson? I'm really excited to be here today. I think this is just an amazing platform for building principals to talk about their school and our new high school initiative. Well, you know, Simeon is dear to my heart because I first started teaching at Simeon a long time ago, and it was a dream of mine to come back as the building principal. So I'm really excited about that. So Simeon is a unique school. It's a historical school here on the south side. It's been around for a very, very long time. We have over 11 CTE courses, which is very important because it gives our students an opportunity to select courses and select pathways that they will eventually go into if they decide to do so, right? Our students are able to not only select these courses, but they are able to earn industry certifications and also take those certifications into internships. Additionally, Simeon has over 60% of our students ends up going to a 4-year college and staying. So I'm really excited about the work of Simeon Career Academy and then also being a part of this high school initiative. One of the parts that I'm playing in this particular program is working on post-secondary, which is near to dear within my heart because it's concentrating on developing and redesigning what we call ILPs, which are those individualized learning plans. And we're planning to start as early as 6th through 12th grade, making sure everything aligns to, eventually LPSs, which is Learn Plan Succeed, ensuring that students have a solid plan before they graduate high school, which is our job to make sure students have plans. Here at Simeon, that has always been the expectation. But now it's in writing, right? We can see it. We're working on it as a district, as a whole, which is something that I'm excited to be a part of.
And we are excited to have you be a part of it too, Trista. You're doing some great things over there at Simeon. And I want to just let the audience know you've been there as the current contract principal now.
Contract principal now.
Exactly, right. Got that contract. And I think they made a great and dynamic choice, really. So we look forward to hearing more about what you're doing at Simeon. We're going to go over to the west side of Chicago. And my friend Charles Anderson, who's been very busy doing some things. He also houses one of our parent university sites over there. Charles, what can I say about Michele Clark? It's a phenomenal school. And I know you have been there. Charles actually stays at that school. I think he has a bedroom at the school.
I do.
Stay there nonstop. But and we'll get into more about what community engagement looks like because your school really does do a lot around that in terms of how you really bring the community in. Your students are there. So tell us about what you're doing at Michele Clark Magnet High School.
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. This is such a great opportunity. And I'm excited, and especially to be here with my colleagues, Dr. Pruitt, yourself, Chip. You know, one of the things about Michele Clark is we talk about it being a great day to be an Eagle. And that's because everything we do has to be a great day for students when they come in the building. We are not only just Magnet, but we're also IB a candidate, where this is the opportunity where we're growing now to be a candidate school. What we found, IB school, what we found is that there's about 5 elementary schools that are IB, and they didn't have anybody in their community to send their students to. So we were able to step up with that. I'm also excited about our JROTC. We have just started. This is our 3rd year, and we have kids that are all into it now, trying to understand how they can get scholarships, how they can learn all of those things that come along with that. We have a great restorative practice program for our SEL, where we try to make sure every student has the opportunity to be great within the school. And not last and not least, but I'm so excited about our dual enrollment. We have a partnership with Malcolm X. So we're one of those schools that do the dual enrollment. So we have over 7 classes that students are able to take here for dual credit. But then we also send them out even over the summer to do dual enrollment with Malcolm X. So we've saved quite a bit of money for students in their post-secondary ventures, and also in helping them to get ready for college. They've already gotten a platform there. I'm excited because as I used to be a elementary principal before a high school principal, so I've done both. And one of the things that I'm excited about is just that opportunity to look at a uniform curriculum that everybody can learn. That's where equity comes in. It doesn't come by us pushing everybody to one school or pushing us to be a part of a school that we think is the best school, but it comes in being able to lay the curriculum where everybody can have an opportunity and access to it. So I'm really excited about that and to continue on in this work. So thank you so much for having me as well.
Well, listen, it's a pleasure to have you all. So look, you know, in the dorm room, this is part of Parent University face-to-face virtual classes. And, you know, we all went to college. We had to get these degrees we had. And I'm sure we had our dorm rooms. This is our dorm room conversation. And so I want to make sure that we're all coming in now, and we're just going to have a great discussion about this because Dr. Pruitt, in terms of how you started to look at this plan and revise some things and really restructure, I would say, you needed the voice of principals. How did the voice of these principals and others really help you in bringing the implementation of this plan to the forefront?
No, absolutely. And so, you know, what a dynamic group to be talking to this evening. And so, it actually began with having cross-departmental conversations with chiefs and deputy at central office, and then identifying, working groups that approach the work in a way that identified these different levers that we've created within the high school strategy. And so with those working groups, those working group leads at central office identified principals, identified teachers, identified students that would be included in the development of this high school strategy. And it actually began with the development of the district's graduate profile. And so, from there, that's where we were able to have our working groups around the instructional core, and then also with regards to how we approach improving schools on a continuing basis. Then also this commitment of ours around building post-secondary success across all of our high schools was really important. And so principals, teachers, and students were a critical aspect of the development of this strategy, but also getting feedback around the levers that were identified, around the profile that was identified, and making sure that it lined up with the 5-year vision that we've established. And that takes me to a question, Chip, where we've made this commitment to providing high quality instruction across all of our schools. And so I'm really interested, Charles, how will the Curriculum Equity Initiative impact you as a principal, your teachers and students?
So thank you. Great question. I think that I know that it will help us because once again, we'll be able to see some things that maybe someone else is doing, or see some things that have been part of development that now we can be a part of, versus not having access to everyone else. So I think a lot of times our high schools work in silos. And so because we're working in our own world, we don't always necessarily share the best practice or share the great things that maybe one school is doing with a curriculum or with some activities. And so this will give us an opportunity to have access to those, to even decide, does it work for us? Will it not work? Or how can we manipulate, or how can we use it? How can we add it into what we're doing? Just so that also as kids transfer across the district, they're not transferring to something that is totally different, or that they've already learned in one area that maybe the curriculum is something different at another school.
Thank you. And Angelica, I see you shaking your head. How will it impact you at Hubbard?
I love the fact that you are talking about vertical articulation. I think that as a neighborhood high school, sometimes it's difficult to be able to really work with our feeder schools. So this is a great opportunity. Plus, I know that Peter mentioned this. We do have students that come in for specific programs like IB or ROTC that are out, that were not a part of that feeder school. So we can't really work with each and every one of those schools, but because you would be working with a ton of schools throughout the city. So this is actually great that you guys have thought about that vertical articulation, that will make it easier for us as high school principals to work with our neighborhood schools, or just with any elementary school in general.
Thank you. Hey, Peter, the district a few years back made a commitment around equity. And so, this commitment to educating with equity is embedded within this high school strategy. And so how have you and your school team approached this work around educating our kids for equity?
Yeah, thank you, Eric. The something I think that's important to keep in mind about the strategy is that these aren't just new ideas that are coming to the district. A lot of the key components of the strategy are growing from what was already successful and already being successfully implemented in the district. So you had mentioned earlier the Equal Opportunity Schools partnership that began with a small cohort of about 6 different schools, and I think that we've now grown to like 12 to 20, and the idea is that we ramp that up. The connection between equity and access to the most rigorous courses at Mather really comes in addressing the barriers to keeping students that have traditionally kept students out of the most advanced courses like advanced placement. And so we've, in working with the district, we received a lot of supports in terms of looking at our programming, looking at the current supports for our kids, and really breaking down some of the old paradigm around who has access to what in our schools. And what we found just from, asking the students some very targeted questions is if nobody ever talks to them about advanced placement, if their friends aren't taking advanced placement, they don't want or they don't know about the benefits of advanced placement. So through looking at our programming with an equity lens, it has really helped Mather students, or the Mather AP programming, explode. So we have increased our AP enrollment by hundreds of students taking advanced placement exams. And what's great about that is we've actually seen an increase in our overall pass rate. So a traditional way of thinking about advanced placement is you want only your highest performing students taking advanced placement. If you let everybody into advanced placement, your scores are going to drop. And the reality is the research, not only nationwide, but now we have it here in our own house, is that if you encourage more students to take on the challenge of advanced courses in an environment where people care about them, where people love them, and will ensure that they get the support to be successful, they will be successful. With the idea to when they go to college and take those really challenging courses, they will have already had that experience of being successful, and will be able to meet that challenge at the college level. And that, to me, in terms of not only looking at strategies that are really going to support kids to be their best selves in high school, but also then the district ramping these practices up so that they can be spread across more schools and impact more students is really exciting to me.
Thank you.
So what about, let me just jump in here for a minute. What about, I hear a lot of my parents when I'm at different meetings and things like that, always saying, well, everybody's not going to college and they need to offer more programs with trade programs and vocational programs. Simeon used to be one of that. It used to be Simeon Vocational High School. It was Lynn Bloom Technical High School, CBS, it offered all of these vocationals. How do you all address that when you're looking at the curriculum and things that you want to present to your students in your schools? Anybody?
So I can jump in just quick, but I know Trista probably has quite a few things to say to that. But one of the things that I'll jump in is that we have won a grant where we got a whole new weight room redone and all of that. But as we did it, we found that students were interested in some of the things that were going on. The issue is that we didn't offer those things. So I was like, we're not a trade school. We don't offer those vocations. But one of the things that has been powerful for us is that we realize they still have to take the test when they want to go into these different trades and vocations, especially when they're getting into them. And they also have to know how to measure. They also have to know how to do the math and so forth. So one of the things that we've been kind of concentrating on is making sure that they understand the work that we're giving them prepares them for everything. So even the early college and the credits that they're getting prepares them to be ready for what does that look like when I'm going out and thinking versus just always thinking it's only paper, but how does that relate to what else I need to do in that? So I think when we don't have those programs, we're able to offer it by showing that this is how much math you're going to need and this is how much reading you're going to have to take up. So I'll turn it over to Trista because I know she's beaming on this one since she has the career schools. 11
CTE programs. So, one of the things that I love about Simeon is that we are wall-to-wall CTE school, and we have a competitive CTE program. But not only that, if kids decide not to take those CTE pathways, they can just take regular classes and go into the honors track. So even having those CTE programs, our students are able to select which programs or pathways that they want to go into. Sometimes they change their mind. They have an option to change their mind and go into certain programs if they decide to do so. But not only that, one of the things that happened last year when I came in is that I had a group of students came to me and they were saying, we want AP classes. We want more advanced placement courses. So we added that this year. We increased our AP advanced courses by 8. And then also we have dual credit courses this particular school year as well. And so, listening to what our students are saying and the voices from our, staff members, we were able to add more additional programming this year more than ever in order to meet the needs of our individual students. And our kids actually do go into those programs, at the high school, Chip. They actually, earn internship programs and stay in those programs and, make a good, living going into those particular programs, which is really exciting. So we know that the benefits of our programs are essential to our school, and this is why our enrollment continues to grow here at Simeon because of our programs.
Well, anything new that you just added for students, Trista, within the last maybe 2 years?
Well, this year, as I stated, we added, a plethora of AP advanced courses. We didn't have them last year, and that was one of my goals because as I stated, the kids are literally surrounded me, and they stated that they want more. Right. And so I gave them more and they didn't complain about it. They were able to select their courses. All of our AP courses were fulfilled. Our teachers were excited by having the courses back at Simeon and they're doing well.
Okay. That's, I was talking on one of the dorm room sessions to Larry Roberts, and he has a curriculum around hair cutting, hair design. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of our teenage boys, they really love that type of career path, and
cosmetology, and it is extremely competitive to get in.
Is it?
Yes, it is extremely competitive to get in. We also have auto body. They can learn how to strip a car, repaint it, do the whole nines, fix your car, anyone's car. Our kids are really excited to go into those programs. And so they have an option to select whichever pathway they decide to go into.
So I know that the strategy is pretty much just kind of like redesigned here. But when you all went through the implementation and the development and the discussions around it, how do you see this being implemented in your school to really bring more fortification to the programs that you have in your schools? How do you plan to use that? Anybody can jump in. Or Eric, you want to lead that?
Absolutely. No, sure. I'll start off. And so I think that what's key here is the development of our C4 curriculum. And so with C4, we're going to be providing and developing to implement a 6th through 11th grade college and career and counseling curriculum to help all of our students hone their own personal post-secondary identity and develop competencies essential for their post-secondary success, whether that be college or career. And so again, this is again an acknowledgement and an adjustment to how do we really improve high schools. Again, we have to reach down to our middle grades and really set them up for success by the time they get to our high schools. And so I'll be really interested in hearing the potential of this curriculum might have on our principals and how they program students and support students as they try to figure out what they want to do with their life.
Peter, you want to follow that?
Sure.
And we're really just kind of figuring out how you all plan to really just implement this new strategy, looking at the strategy,
right.
How effective can it be to your schools, and what do you have to kind of look at with your department chairs and your teachers to really say, we really need to do some thoughts of redesigning and implementing new strategies around our curriculum.
One thing, thanks, Chip. One thing that Principal Harper was mentioning that made me think of is how, just because you're coming into one of our programs, whether it be IB, dual enrollment, CTE, it doesn't preclude you from participating in coursework outside of those programs. And so I think that is because the approach to this to the plan is so robust and supportive. It really does provide us the ability at the school level to help students maneuver their way through their 4-year program in a way that is interesting to them, that helps meet their own personal goals that they might have, or at least help them identify who it is that they want to be and what they're interested in. So whether they're coming into one of the CTE programs, they still have opportunity to take advanced placement along the way. I think that the supports that are in place, the AP and the IB department, I know, have been very forward in terms of providing supports for principals, also making sure that teachers have the resources that they need, that they're getting the training that they need. There's been a very high focus on making sure that the leaders in the classroom are getting the training that they need. I think that is also very important. But it does allow the schools to become unique and help, create, I guess, our own brand identity of who we are, what we can offer your student, and get the kids really excited about coming to school.
Oh, that's great. What about you, Angelica, at Hubbard?
I think that at Hubbard, one of the key pieces is that we leverage all of our partnerships. I rely on, and I go to teaching and learning, the Department of Teaching and Learning, a lot. And we open our doors. We have an open door policy. We welcome them at Hubbard, and they have been instrumental in actually helping us develop our teachers and working with our curriculum and really moving us in the right direction. So I definitely want to give a shout out to them, because we will continue working with them and relying on them as partners. But I also want to say, just like Peter had mentioned, Brian Zaire from AP has been phenomenal. And Brian Zaire really put a word out. And we were also lucky enough to be awarded the Equal Opportunity School grant this year. So everything that you're talking about that is happening at Mather, that is what we hope to see happening at Hubbard as well. So we were actually fortunate enough this year to also be a part of the new, the AP seminar and research expansion. And we had our very first cohort of students that tested last year, and we had 61% success rate with that very first year. And we are very proud of that. You're talking about students that typically would not be taking the classes, that through encouragement, have sat in the seats at that class and have actually scored really well. So we will continue that work along with equal opportunity schools to make sure that we create those pathways so that all of our students have access to those classes. And what I know that at the beginning we had mentioned this, Eric, closing that opportunity gap is really the goal here for all of us, regardless of what side of the city you're on, where whatever type of school you're in. This is definitely what we're working towards.
Let me ask you, I know, Eric, you said lever 3, enhancing school organization is part of the strategy. And it includes the student programs, external partnerships. And one that I'm most interested in is the community engagement. How do you implement this? And we can ask the principals, how strong of an implementation program do you have to implement your structure around community engagement, and especially bringing parents involved into understanding what's going on with the high school strategy and how they can support their students? And
so, Chip, one, we acknowledge that our parents in our community are vital to our success, period. And then we also understand that many of our principals are doing a really good job with reaching out and engaging their communities. But then we also understand that there are some supports that we at central office can potentially provide to our principals and their teams as they think about how to enhance their engagement within their community. And so, within that one driver that you talked about, Chip, with creating a community engagement plan, we're committed to assisting and providing resources to our school leaders around creating a really robust communication plan, and it's really based off those best practices recommended by Elevated Chicago. And I think this is really connected. Charles had talked about, he's really proud of his JROTC program. And we know that within JROTC, service learning and getting out in the community is really important. And so, Charles, how have you approached engaging your community and getting your students connected with the neighborhood and greater Chicago community?
Oh, wow. So first of all,
Charles, first of all, let them know that it never stops at Michele Clark, right? It never stops.
Yeah, I was going to say, first of all, we're in the Austin community. I am Austin. We are Austin. The working with Pam Price has been amazing, having her in our school with the face. But one of the things that we do is we wanted to be a school. We didn't want to be a school in the community. We wanted to be a part of the community. And I think so many times, because of the way we've been in schools, is that we've almost made schools like, here's the school, here's the community. We wanted to be one with that. So we got involved in everything that was going on. So yes, we were able to use our programs with JROTC, but also we were able to use our partnership with like Cisco. How do we make sure that we bring parents into some of those classes that we were doing with Cisco? And Cisco then follow our kids through college and offer them jobs after they finish in the 4 years. Then we started talking about trying to do our podcast, and we started the podcast right before COVID hit us, and we put our parents on that and pulled our community in. We go to our police district. Like, everybody knows Michele Clark on the West Side, because we push to make that happen and we push to be involved. And so for me, when I think about this lever, I think about it can't be a can approach where you kind of just say principals go out and love your community, or principals go out and your community will love you. It has to be where it is part. When I think about Hubbard, being there as long as you have, you know that side of town, you know those kids, you know the businesses, and you then work to figure out how to support those things. And so there's nothing that we do or not do in the building that we don't figure out how can we include our parents to be a part of it. And one thing that two things I always say to my teachers really quick is, I've never met a parent who says, I don't want my child to be successful. I don't think they'll ever be worth anything. Every parent wants their child to be successful. The issue is that they don't always have the resources or know the direction to do that. So one of the things we aim to do at Michele Clark is provide those resources and give them the opportunities to be able to do that.
So Charles, just real briefly, talk about how though you just keep it moving. I mean, we closed in March, stopped letting students in the building and staff, but it never stopped at Michele Clark. You were having food giveaways, you had drive-through movies, and I know all of this because Parent University is over there, and my good director, Pam Price, is one of your greatest colleagues. It keeps it moving there. But I mean, you just really keep it engaged. It's more like, when I come to Michele Clark, it's more not just a high school, but it's a community center. Because after the instructional doors close, the community doors open, and it just continues.
Yeah, I would say that actually started because I remember as an elementary principal that when no shade, Dr. Pruitt, about what I'm about to say, is that whenever the chief or the deputy came in, I always felt like, oh Lord, everybody get on your best behavior, and so you tried to push everybody to always look good. And so my endeavor then is how do we just always look good? So let's open up the doors so no matter what, whoever comes in the door, that we always look good. And so the commitment that we've made with even like the 15th district, I can think of so many partnerships that we've made connections with. We're always thinking about what can we do to help build our, not necessarily Michele Clark, but how do we build the Austin community? And in hopes from that, we then look to bring more students in, because as you may or may not know, the Austin community has been shrinking, but it's our endeavor to keep it alive. So how do we get those kids involved? How do we get those parents involved? How do we make them understand that everything that's going on in the Austin community doesn't mean you have to send your child to another community to get educated, because we can offer it just as great, which is why the lever of the curriculum was so important to me, because I want to be able to say, whatever Peter's doing up there, I know because I got a copy of it. And so
listen, all you really got to do is follow Charles on Twitter, and you'll see everything that's happening in his school and his community. It's awesome. It is awesome what you're doing down there at Clark.
So now, Angelica, your community is primarily Hispanic, and I know that we have a lot of engagement in that area. Tell us about what do you do to really keep them inclusive and informed at your school at Hubbard?
Well, Chip, I speak to them in Spanish. Yo hablo español todo el día. So that's what I do. It is something that I knew that was needed at Hubbard High School. 93% of my parents speak Spanish, and we needed to make sure that we could engage them through workshops, meetings, trainings. We do our version of Parent University. So Chip, come on now. And we've been doing that for several years now. Actually, Sonia Castro, who was our face at Hubbard many years ago, we started that partnership, and it has been very successful. We continue with those efforts through Metropolitan Family Services, Community Schools Initiative, and Gear Up. So we are proud of that. We want to make sure that parents are always informed. So with this, we will have the meetings, we will have the workshops, we will have the trainings. I know that it is virtual and it is not the same. Lord, it is not the same. But we know that one day we'll get back to being able to host these meetings in the building. And like I had stated earlier, Hubbard High School has an open door policy. So our parents are always welcome. We survey our parents constantly. We have meetings with them. We are always available to make sure that we're doing what is right and that they understand why we are doing what we are doing and how it is going to benefit not only their students, but our community as well.
And Trista, you have a strong alumni association over there. So,
Yeah.
so your parent stream is always a steady flow as well, right?
Yeah, Simeon is a building that never closed. We open Monday through Sunday. My alumni association is amazing. They are, shout out to the Alumni Association, okay? They are amazing. They do great. They do a lot of great work here in the building. They help support our students and also ensure that our students receive scholarships. They gave out over, I believe it's like over, they gave 25 students $4,000 with scholarships last year. And our kids really, really needed that money, and they definitely appreciate it. So they do, they help and assist our students in every capacity, whether it's tutoring, just having, those courageous conversations with them, supporting them, and also supporting me as the building principal. So I feel really, really supported as it relates to my alumni association. Charles is my role model when it comes to community engagement. I steal a lot of stuff from him, best practices, right? And so one of the things that we are, or one of our partners is the Greater Auburn Grisham. We're partnering with them, and we also work on this big partnership with Green Era, which is a major partnership that's west of 79th Street. And so that's going to help impact our CTE courses, pathways as well, help with our internship opportunities, and make sure that our students have jobs after, life after high school. So we're hoping that this partnership goes through, and we're excited about that as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Eric, did you want to add to that? I saw you. Go ahead.
Well, no, I won't add to it, but I think part of this particular lever, Chip, with enhancing organizational coherence, there's a special call out around supporting our kids that have a GPA of C, a GPA of a C, in-class math tutoring, and then mentoring and counseling support. And so I'm really interested, Peter. You talked about your diverse population at your school. What does mentoring support look like at your school, and what could the possibilities be with the support from this strategy around mentoring support or math tutoring support?
Yeah, thank you. I think that one of the one thing that I've heard, especially in that last conversation, is we cannot do this work alone. Like, we need, clearly a supportive and organized district, but we also need really meaningful partnerships and people who are willing to come into our schools and help our students and our staff do the right work the right way. When I first started out as a principal, I thought about the types of support and services that were available before school and after school. And whereas that provided a lot of SEL type supports, in terms of advancing academics, we weren't really seeing the big lift there. Where I have seen the greatest supports for students academically has been push into the classroom. So mentoring, opportunities for tutors, people to push into the classroom during the academic day when the kids are already in the building, and we don't have to, compete against after-school sports activities, jobs that the kids have to go to. The more that we can provide the types of academic supports that the kids need in the moment right now in the classroom, that is where I have seen our students really respond to the intervention and the supports. So whether that is personal growth and development mentoring, whether it's direct academic intervention, the more that we can focus our supports during the school day, when we have the resources, everybody's in the building, we can bring the parents in if needed. That's where I've seen the greatest supports. It's the kind of when I look through the different pieces of the strategy. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, things that I can't do on my own. I need district support. I need community support. And the more that we can shrink the number of students to the number of adults that we have supporting them. That's where I've seen the biggest boost, and I'm excited to see that as a part of the strategy moving forward.
Thank you.
What are some of the, because we got room for one more question, and I'll ask each of you all, what are some of the challenges that you all are looking at? Not really just COVID related, but just instructional, academically, social, emotionally, pathways to careers, whatever case may be. What are some of the challenges that you look at when you say, how am I going to do this year? How am I going to do this for students? What do you come up with outside? I know the whole COVID thing put a damper on a lot of that, but outside of that, what really keeps you up at night when you're looking at things you want to offer for your students to make them successful? Peter, I'll start with you.
For me, it is the meaningful experience for the kids. So I want it's one of the reasons we have a focus on CTE. I want my students to know and get a really strong idea about what is it going to be like to pursue a degree or pursue a career in a certain area. I can't provide those based on the resources that I have just at the school. I need help getting my kids experiences. And I want my students, I want them out of my building. I want them to go out and do internships. I want them to get out into the working world. I want them to go onto college campuses and take classes. And that is something that, providing those kind of experiences, we need support from outside the school to get that done. And I think that when, a student can be really struggling in the classroom, but once they make that connection between what I'm doing today connects with where I want to be 1 year, 3 years, 5 years down the road, all of a sudden I come to school tomorrow ready to go. But if it's the same thing and I'm a student and I don't have unique experiences or something that really gets me going about school, it makes it more difficult on a daily basis, which then creates a need for a lot more supports academically for the students. So one of the challenges that we have right now is getting more experiences for the students outside of the building to get them to really, purpose the work that they do day in and day out.
Okay. Angelica, what about you?
I know that you asked, what is one of those things that keeps you up at night? And for me, it's making sure that all of my teachers are doing what is right for our students and that they are putting students first. Hubbard has gone through a transition over the course of the 20 years that I have been there. And unfortunately, a long, long time ago, it was staff first. And it has taken a while and it has been a challenge, but we are moving in that direction. And we have a motto, which is moving forward. And last year we were putting hashtag moving forward on everything. So for me, it's like you're either moving forward with us or you're moving out of the way. And I genuinely believe in the work that we are doing at Hubbard with the help of the Department of Teaching and Learning. I believe in Hubbard so much that, my son, who is currently a sophomore, is a student at Hubbard High School. Yes, he had the option to go to a selective enrollment school, but he chose us. And that means a lot to me. I believe in what we do. I know that we are moving in the right direction, but I want to make sure that, all of my teachers and we are all on board that it is students first.
Good. Excellent. Trista?
What keeps me up at night, as I even think about my students, is then socialization is very, very important. And it's a big, big thing here at Simeon, them being able to socialize with their teachers on a regular basis without having to wait on an email, socializing with each other, with me, their counselors, other, members within the building who they have built, strong relationships with. And so, we're trying to, develop and create, opportunities for our kids to continue, that part that, makes them every brain, right? One of the things that we did implement this school year is the Wolverine Wednesday, where they are able to talk about, current events, things that they may be going through every on Wednesdays, and so they're able to talk and express themselves. But we know that even having those Wednesdays conversations, that they need more, right? Mm-hmm. And so those are some of the things that we are currently working on, trying to build and develop and support our students during this pandemic.
Yeah, I agree. Charles Anderson?
You know, I was sitting there when you said what keeps me up at night, and I was like, in college, since we talking dorm life, it was usually, well, I'll keep it clean. It was usually a Snickers and a Pepsi. Kept me up all night. And if somebody put something else in the drink that I know about. But anyway, I would really say the things that really keep me up at night, in all seriousness, is the equity for our children. You know, we deal with the enrollment fight over here in the Auffant community, and that enrollment fight is real. And so I look at the great partnerships that we have with our elementary schools, you know, in doing things on the West Side. Like, I so appreciate all of those principals. So shout out to the West Side principals, but also providing equity for them that we are doing right by our students. I think sometimes when we use equity, we kind of almost now it's becoming like the household word, and it doesn't necessarily have us make where it's doing right by our children, but it has it that we're doing right by our adults. And so for me, that keeps me up at night because I know that they are our future. And so because I know that they're our future, it then becomes part of how do we continue to push our parents to see the light and to see that. But how do we, as a school district, as other school partners, make sure that we provide as much as we can for every kid that comes through our doors, which is why we stand stronger even on the commitment of saying that every day is a great day to be an Eagle, because we want every student that comes through our doors to feel like this is the best day ever. Whether it's COVID, it's the best day ever that I signed on because you guys are going to give me something. Because the more that we're able to provide hope, the more we're able to push them to dream, you know, the better we become. And so for me, it keeps me up at night that we have to continue to fight for this. Like, at some point, you do take a breath and say, when do we stop fighting and people just believe in the equity of the things that we're going through? And it's not just a Black issue. And so when I think about all of that, I just think that I just want us to do right by the new generation that will come before us.
I have a question while I'm here, because our audience is still bringing in questions. You all can also see these questions and these comments on the stream when you review it on the Facebook page. But Antonio Hardeman says, how do we involve parents during COVID? Have you all had any structural procedures that you do there?
I'll jump in because I know Peter's gonna like pounce on me when he comes with his ideas. But one of the ways that we've been keeping parents involved is we're still doing parent meetings. We include everybody into our face meetings. So when the Auffant community is doing their meetings, we bring all parents and we invite them to all those. We send out still bi-weekly newsletters to our parents with ideas of what their children are learning, how to log on to those. And then one of the things that we also do is we continue to always push them to feel free to give us a call. But then I have a team of students that are even called team of parent staff that their job is to call and check in on parents. So it's not about necessarily checking in on how well the student is doing or how bad they is, but we're calling to check in on the parents to see how we can do that. And that's through our BHT team that continues to push that. So we've been able to keep them involved from that standpoint through those things.
Peter, what about your parents?
Well, I'm really inspired by what I'm hearing here, and probably going to be reaching out to Charles to come up with some additional ideas. It is, if I'm being transparent, it has been very challenging for us here to maintain a strong engagement with our parents. While I appreciate them and we love our parents, they do trust in the school, and you know, we struggle with our attendance at our LSC meetings more so than we do when we're in person. Struggle more so at our PAC. I think that where we have had the most success is when we reach out individually to parents. They have been very receptive to the individual conferencing with either myself or the teachers or the counselors. But we right now are finding ourselves in kind of a more of reactionary mode in terms of trying to support our students that are really struggling right now and trying to get our parents the support that they need. One thing that has been very successful is reaching up to the network for support. We've given out over a few $1,000s in gift cards to families that have indicated to us that they're struggling. And we also have a very strong behavioral health team that helps monitor our students that are experiencing, all of our students are experiencing trauma at this point, but some are experiencing much more hardship than others. And that has been very helpful, like a strong team of just a multidisciplinary, whether it's counselors or our clinicians, our teachers, our deans and teachers, just people coming together and trying to identify what are the supports that are needed. But if I was, I've been a middle school principal as well down on the southwest side, and we would have in a school that had 600 students, I'd have 150 parents at a PAC meeting without anything more than a robocall. And in the high school, it has been much more challenging. So I think the more that we can communicate, I think the district-wide communication, the more that we can communicate a common message, it'll be helpful for our parents.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got to get my promo in, you all. I tried to do it at the beginning and didn't realize that I had to be on screen. So you all see my screen here, right? Let me get my promo in. That is the dorm room, you all, and I had to just get that in. I didn't realize that it wouldn't show at the beginning. I had to be on screen. So I'm using this new platform, StreamYard. It kind of gives me a little bit more of a comfortable space without all the noise from Google Meets. But we have had a great time here. This whole thing, Eric, the principals here, you all are doing a phenomenal job with Chicago Public Schools. Trista, eyes are all on you. You've been doing a great job as an interim principal. I'm so glad the contract was given to you. So many applause to you. Angelica Hubbard has always been phenomenal. When I was at John Hope as a music teacher, I would try to compete with your choir program because it was always so phenomenal there. But you all are doing a great job. And Pete, you always host us greatly up there with our back to school bashes. I really hope that we can get back to that back to school bash because your team is some great hosts up there. Charles, you're just like a 24/7 center. And let me just say this to you all, because you all really are examples for what we are looking for in our school leaders. You all are all veteran principals. And when we look at our Office of Principal Quality, these are the type of things that we're trying to get principals to understand, that in order to build successful schools, you have to be community engagers. You got to be quasi-parents. You got to be ministers or priests or something. You got to be all of that. But the most of the time, you have to be available. And that is what makes a real solid school in the cultures that you bring. Just for the last few minutes that we got about 1 minute, Eric. You want to give a final word as the chief? I'm going to take our principals out. Thank you all for joining us in the dorm room, and great job, you all. Great job. Eric, you want to give a last remarks here?
No, absolutely. So one, I just want to thank all the principals for joining us today. And second of all, we understand at central office that, this work cannot be done without having, really effective, high quality, committed school leaders to lead our high schools. And so again, I just want to thank the 4 principals that joined us today, but then also thank all the principals within CPS for the work that you have been doing and that you will be doing moving forward, in addition to the teachers that you're supporting at your schools. And so thank you, and we look forward to having more discussions about how this high school strategy is going to improve the overall experience of our students in our high schools and our middle grades. Thank you, Chip.
Thank you too, Dr. Pruitt. And I do want to thank you also for being a part of the dorm room session tonight. I want to let you all know that we will have our Ask the Expert series that's coming up this Thursday. There's a link to register. You can go to cpsparentu.org on our website and get that link to register for that. We'll have our new chief of early childhood, Brian Stokes, talking about how we're going to work to bring our pre-K students back into the classroom. That's going to be very informative. That is going to be Thursday at 4 o'clock. This dorm room airs again next week. You will see this same telecast. And then the following week, we got Dr. Stephanie Coleman coming on from the Office of Specialized Services. ODLSS is the right term, Office of Diverse Learners and Support Services. And we will talk about the supports around how we're working with children in schools, the para support. We had a lot of concerns about how, when you're teaching English and you're teaching sounds and things like that, because you have to wear the mask in the classroom, how do you get around that? So we're going to have these discussions just for you. And this is what the dorm room is all about, just to bring these platforms to you so that you all actually know exactly what's going on in the greatest school district in America, the third largest, Chicago Public Schools. Many kudos on behalf of our CEO, Dr. Janice Jackson, and Chief Education Officer, LaTanya McDade. Everybody's doing some great work. We're looking forward to all of our teachers. We love you all. We know we would not be here in our positions without having gone through the classroom. We were all teachers at one point, and we love what teachers do. So you all teachers, keep your heads up. Know that we need you, and we hope that you will be at the students' needs when they call for you. So on behalf of Family and Community Engagement in Education, want to thank you all. Thanks to our guests, Dr. Erick Pruitt, Trista Harper, Angelica Altaramino, Peter Auffant, and Charles Anderson. You all did a great job. Remember, you can stream it. Look at the stream on Facebook at CPS Parent U. On facebook.com. Okay. Until we see each other again, this is Chip Johnson, Chief Officer for the department, and I really wish you all Godspeed in everything that you do. Take care.